Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Peter for this invitation to tell firsthand accounts of what can happen. But also, I'd like to thank you for your bravery, for taking on this issue and being willing to confront the psychiatric drug epidemic. Unfortunately, this is more than just a debate over the validity of scientific evidence. As you've heard, there are real life and death consequences to the issues being discussed here today. 12 years ago, my life looked very different than it does today. I was married to my best friend, had a successful career in advertising, and was planning to have a family. However, all of that changed with one phone call. On August 6, 2003, I became a widow. Woody, my husband of almost 10 years, was found hanging from the rafters of our garage, dead at age 37. Woody wasn't depressed, nor did he have a history of depression or any other mental illness. Woody was outgoing, gregarious, smart, had a huge personality. Everyone loved him. He had just started his dream job as vice president of sales with a startup company selling energy-efficient lighting 2 months prior and starting having difficulty sleeping, which is not uncommon for entrepreneurs. So Woody went to his family doctor and was given Zoloft, off-label for insomnia. The doctor said Zoloft would help take the edge off and help him sleep. 5 weeks later, Woody was dead. The 3-week Pfizer-supplied sample pack that Woody came home with automatically doubled the dose, unbeknownst to him, from 25 to 50 milligrams after week 1. No cautionary warning was given to him or me about the need to be closely monitored when first going on the drug or dosages changing. In fact, I was out of the country for the first 3 weeks he was on this drug. Within days, Woody started experiencing all the side effects like profuse night sweats, diarrhea, worsened insomnia. He also experienced other side effects that Pfizer knew, akathisia, but did not warn Woody or his doctor or even his family. Shortly before he died, I found Woody curled up on our kitchen floor with his hands around his head like a vice and going, "Kim, you gotta help me. I don't know what's happening to me. It's like my head's out to my body looking in. Kim, help me." Little did I know what that meant. We calmed him down. He called his doctor the next day and said, "You got to give it 4 to 6 weeks to kick in." 5 weeks, he made it. From the beginning, Woody's death did not make any sense to anyone who knew him. Everywhere I turned, the so-called experts and suicide support groups were telling me Woody must have been depressed. But in the deepest part of me, I knew something did not add up. Why would a guy who loved life take his own life? So we started to dig into the only thing that had changed in his life, and that was the addition of Zoloft. Woody and I never questioned the drug. Why would we? Zoloft was given, it's FDA approved, given by his doctor. It was advertised and sold as safe and as effective. Ironically, the day that Woody was found, the front page of our local paper had an article that said the UK finds link between antidepressants and suicide in teens. So that started our journey. Our journey for the truth has taken us to the FDA, Congress, the courts, and the media. Unfortunately, I quickly learned that Woody was not an isolated case, or anecdotal, as the FDA liked to refer us. I find this ironic since the FDA had a hearing in 1991 when it was just Prozac, 13 years before the first black box warning came on before kids, and all the other drugs that came after Prozac. In the battle for Woody, we were able to get confidential internal Pfizer and other drug company documents made public that showed that they knew of the risk of suicide, violence, and not to speak of the questionable efficacy, but failed to tell the public. I hand-delivered these documents to the FDA, members of Congress, and the media. I can't believe it's been 12 years since Woody's death, and we're still having this debate. In some ways, I think the situation's gotten worse. Where's the public outrage? It seems everywhere you turn, there's something about mental health in the headlines, whether it's another mass shooting, a high-profile suicide like Robin Williams, or a kid who has difficulty focusing in school. The conversation never is about the drugs. It quickly turns into the need for more mental health services, more screenings, more treatments to address these issues. But what if less is actually more? The public has been convinced through drug company marketing, psychiatry, and the medical establishments that mental illness is a biologically based condition. Everyday life distresses and problems are being sold as undiagnosed mental disorders, caused by a chemical imbalance requiring a pill solution. Oftentimes, as we've heard, without full disclosure of the dangerous side effects. There are a lot of powerful self-interests at play in this current model of medicalizing life stresses. We have Big Pharma, we have the American Psychiatric Association, and various patient advocacy groups, such as the National Alliance for Mentally Ill. They all have something to gain. Drug companies are highly motivated to spend billions of dollars selling illnesses to push their pill treatments. The media is there to protect their ad dollars. The APA and psychiatry want to protect their role as being the trusted medical institution that really understands psychiatric care. Meanwhile, 70 to 80% of these drugs are being written by GPs, and often after a 5-minute visit. In today's world, mentally ill is such a vague and general term that it lacks any real meaning. The APA's DSM has set up such broad definitions of what a psychiatric disorder is that 1 in 4 Americans are said to suffer from some kind of mental illness, and that undesired behaviors, grief, sadness, ADHD, substance abuse, they all get classified as mental illnesses. There's got to be a better way. For starters, I'd like the conversation to change from mental health to mental well-being. Mental health implies a sickness model. The current narrative of the medical model is that untreated mental illness threatens the safety, the security, and health of the general public. Therefore, we need more treatments. I feel passionately that something needs to be done. I don't want to get another email like I did yesterday from a 49-year-old, or from a guy whose 49-year-old father-in-law shot himself on Saturday after being given Zoloft from his doctor because he was feeling a little down because him and his wife were splitting up. We got to do better for Woody, for Candace, for Stuart, for Shane, and for Jake. We need to empower the public to challenge the current mental health system to ask, what if less is actually more? But we've got to first start the debate in a public forum. So thank you, Peter, for giving us this opportunity, and thank you for listening to all of our stories. Thanks.
It is difficult to say anything after this. In fact, we should have silence. It is so overwhelming to hear your stories. There are more people in this audience who have similar stories. One of them, living here in Denmark, his son hanged himself in a shipyard crane. He didn't have a psychiatric disorder, just like your stories. And there are other people as well. I have written about 8 of these people in my book, and I have photos of those who died, which my publisher didn't really understand. It will make the book more expensive to have color photos. And I said, well, that can't be much, and I want these photos. And now I will ask you about something. My book was reviewed in the Danish medical journal